I still remember the exact moment he laughed at me. Not a polite chuckle, not even a dismissive smirk, a full, condescending laugh. We were standing in the break room, coffee in hand, small talk about the weekend, and I made the mistake of mentioning I'd started putting money aside differently. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, that look on his face, like he was about to explain something to a child. "You're doing what with your money?" I didn't answer right away. I could feel the tension in the room. 2 other colleagues had stopped talking. They were listening now. "I've just been setting some aside, trying something different." He shook his head, slowly, like he pitied me. "Man, that's useless. You know what's not useless? A real job, a promotion, actual income." He gestured around the room, like the walls themselves agreed with him. "This," he tapped his chest, "this is what matters. What you earn, what you can show, not some whatever you're doing." I nodded, smiled a little, said nothing. Because what could I say? At that point, he was right about one thing. I had nothing to show. Let me rewind. 6 months before that conversation, I was in a different kind of room. My apartment, late at night, staring at a balance that felt suffocating. Not broke, but not free either. I had a decent job, decent pay, decent life. But decent has a way of feeling like a cage when you realize it's all you'll ever have. I wasn't reckless. I wasn't desperate. I was just tired. Tired of seeing the same number in my account every month. Tired of working harder and feeling like I was running in place. So I started reading. Not get-rich-quick garbage, not hype videos or miracle strategies. Just information. Quiet, boring information. How money could work differently. How time changed things. How small decisions compounded. I didn't tell anyone, because I knew how it would sound. "Oh, so you think you're gonna get rich now? Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out." So I stayed quiet, and I started. Small amounts. Painfully small. Amounts that felt almost insulting to put away. But I kept going. Week after week, month after month. Nothing changed. Not at first. That break room conversation happened around month 6, and it stuck with me. Not because he was cruel. He wasn't. He was just confident. Confident in the way people are when they believe they've figured life out. He had a senior title, a higher salary, a new car, a bigger apartment, and I had a spreadsheet I checked too often, and a growing sense that I was wasting my time. The weeks after that were hard, because doubt is loudest when you're alone. I'd sit at my desk, doing work that felt increasingly meaningless, and I'd think, what if he's right? What if I was chasing something that didn't exist? What if the only real way forward was the way everyone else did it? Climb the ladder, get the raise, buy the things. I almost stopped. Twice, once at month 8, once at month 11. But I didn't. Not because I was disciplined, not because I had some unshakable belief. I didn't stop because I had nothing better to do with the money anyway. So I kept going. Year 2 was when things started to feel different. Not in my account, not yet, but in my head. I stopped checking the numbers every day. I stopped feeling anxious every time I set money aside. It became automatic, boring even. And boring, I realized, was good, because boring meant I wasn't emotionally attached anymore. I wasn't hoping, I wasn't waiting, I was just moving. At work, nothing had changed. Same desk, same projects, same salary, give or take a small annual bump. He got promoted. I remember the announcement, the applause in the meeting, the congratulations. He deserved it. He worked hard. And when he walked past my desk later that day, he smiled. Not smug, just satisfied. "Keep grinding, man. It pays off." I nodded. "Yeah, it does." Year 3 was when I started to notice the gap. Not a huge gap, not life-changing yet, but the numbers I was looking at weren't small anymore. They weren't big either, but they weren't small. I didn't tell anyone. Not because I was hiding it, but because there was nothing to tell yet. I wasn't driving a different car. I wasn't living in a different place. From the outside, I looked exactly the same. And that's what made it strange, because inside, something had shifted. I started to feel less reactive, less worried about the next paycheck, less stressed about small expenses. Not rich, not even close, but less afraid. And that feeling was worth more than I expected. Year 4. He got another promotion. I stayed where I was. But by then, the balance I was looking at had started to do something I hadn't fully believed it would. It had started to move on its own. Not because I was putting more in, I wasn't, but because time was doing what time does. In the gap between what I had set aside and what I earned in a year, it was closing. Slowly, quietly, but it was closing. Year 5. We ended up in the same break room again. Different day, different conversation. He was talking about a bonus he'd just gotten. A big one. Everyone congratulated him. He smiled, ordered a round of drinks for the team after work. I was genuinely happy for him. But later, when the room had cleared and it was just the two of us, he asked me something. "You still doing that investment thing?" I paused. "Yeah." He nodded, looked at his phone. "How's that going?" I thought about how to answer. Not because I wanted to brag, but because I didn't know how to explain what had happened without it sounding like I was bragging. "It's going okay." He looked up. "Okay, like you made a little money?" "Okay, like it's more than I expected." He didn't press further, but I could see it in his face. Curiosity, maybe a little doubt, like he was wondering if he'd missed something. Year 6. I didn't talk to him much anymore, not out of resentment, just distance. He was busy, I was busy. We worked in different departments by then, but I'd see him sometimes, in meetings, in passing, and I'd notice things. The way he talked about money had changed. He used to talk about it like it was status, proof. Now he talked about it like it was stress. Need to make more, need to cover this, need to hit that number. I wasn't judging him. I understood, because I'd been there. That treadmill, that feeling of never having enough. But I wasn't on it anymore. And I hadn't left because I earned more. I'd left because I needed less. Year 7. I ran into him at a company event. Holiday party, open bar, everyone a little too relaxed. He was tipsy, loose, honest in the way people are after 3 drinks. He pulled me aside. "Hey man, real talk." I waited. "You remember that thing you said years ago about putting money away?" "Yeah." "How much did you actually make?" I hesitated, not because I didn't want to tell him, but because I knew how it would sound. Enough that I don't really worry anymore. He stared at me. "What does that mean?" I thought about it. "It means if I lost my job tomorrow, I'd be okay for a while. Maybe a long while." He blinked. "How long? A few years? Maybe more?" Silence. He looked down at his drink. "I can't do that." "What do you mean?" "I make good money. Better than you, probably. No offense. None taken. But I can't stop. I can't take a break. I don't know. I just can't." I didn't know what to say, so I just stood there. "You did something I didn't," he said quietly. "I just started earlier," I said. "No," he shook his head. "You did something I didn't believe in." He walked away after that, not angry, just reflective. And I stood there, drink in hand, realizing something I hadn't fully understood until that moment. He hadn't been wrong to laugh at me. Not really. Because at the time, I didn't have proof. I had hope, a guess, a quiet belief. And belief looks a lot like delusion until time proves otherwise. Year 8. He left the company. New job, bigger title, even higher salary. I stayed. Not because I needed to, but because I wanted to. In that distinction, the difference between need and want was everything. I didn't see him after that. No falling out, no drama, just different paths. I think about that break room conversation sometimes. The laugh, the dismissal, the certainty in his voice. And I don't feel vindicated. I don't feel smug. I just feel grateful. Grateful that I didn't listen. Not because he was wrong, but because I was willing to be wrong longer than he was willing to wait. I didn't sacrifice everything. I didn't take huge risks. I just started. And then I didn't stop. Even when it felt useless. Even when someone laughed. Even when I wasn't sure. Last month, I checked the balance. It's more than he makes in a year now. More than I make in a year. And the strangest part, it doesn't feel like victory. It just feels like time. He was right about one thing, though. What you earn matters. But what you keep matters more. And what you keep long enough, that's what changes everything. I wonder if he thinks about that conversation. I wonder if he remembers laughing. I don't hold it against him, because I've learned something he didn't teach me, but I needed to learn anyway. The people who doubt you the loudest are usually the ones who need to believe their way is the only way. Because if it's not, then they've been running the wrong race all along. I still work the same job. I still live in the same city. From the outside, I look the same, but I'm not. Because freedom isn't loud. It's not a car, it's not a title. It's the quiet knowledge that you don't have to. And once you feel that, you can't unfeel it. He called me one week, out of nowhere, asked how I was doing. We talked for a few minutes, surface stuff, pleasantries. Then, just before he hung up, he said, "You were right, man, back then. I should have listened." I didn't correct him, because I wasn't right. I was just patient. And patience looks a lot like nothing, until suddenly, it's everything.